Bret Baier now, chief political anchor and executive editor of Special Report. Bret, great to have you here now with this breaking news just coming in. We're getting a closer look at this. The warrant gave agency authority to seize, quote, all physical documents and records constituting evidence, contraband, fruits of crime, or other items illegally possessed in the violation of U.S. code, including documents and classification markings and presidential records created between January 2017 and January 2021. What can you tell us at this point, having looked at it now, Bret?
Okay, we've seen the warrant, we've seen the list. It's about 7 pages long, both documents, and as David was going through, it's specific but not specific of what's in those documents. There's been a lot of reporting about nuclear documents. That's not listed specifically in the paperwork that we've received. However, what's key is this. The list includes references to one set of documents, as referenced, various classified TS and SCI documents. That's top secret and sensitive compartmented information, as well as top secret and 3 sets of secret documents, confidential documents. Now, what does this mean? The top tier of that is some of the highest sensitive stuff that we have as far as keeping secret, and there are laws about how that's handled. The president's lawyers are arguing that he declassified these documents before leaving the White House. Now, that is a big power that the president has, a sweeping power to declassify, but there are also regulations that a process has to take place. It's not like you wave a wand and say all of these boxes are declassified. So there's a paper trail and specifics to that. So they will argue that it happened, and we'll have to see where that argument goes. But the list of documents here is pretty interesting. I mean, it's overall 20 boxes. And what you see is that the judge, the magistrate, signs it on August 5th, but the raid doesn't happen, the search doesn't happen, if you want to call it that, days later. So the thought process that these are tremendously dangerous documents that everyone was concerned about from the beginning of June to the time that the document signed, the search warrant signed, and then the action is taken is interesting. And Trump lawyers will point back to cooperating. Clearly, the DOJ and the FBI believes that they have these documents are sensitive, top secret, highly compartmentalized enough that this is a violation of law.
U.S. Magistrate Judge Bruce Reinhart signed the warrant on August 5th, giving the FBI authority for basically 2 weeks to go and conduct the search, the locations to be searched. As we noted, the former president's office, all storage rooms and other rooms within the premises used or available to be used by the former president and his staff, and in which boxes or documents could be stored, including all structures or buildings on the estate. That sounds like giving pretty wide authority to the FBI once on the grounds of Mar-a-Lago to look where they needed to look.
Yeah, I mean, this is a wide berth of that property. The only thing it doesn't include are the guest rooms at Mar-a-Lago, which, as you know, is a club. And it doesn't say any of those areas or the staff areas, but it is a wide swath of the personal space, the former president's office. And, you know, what's key to point out here is that if they find something else and there is some other illegal activity in this search for classified documents, obviously that's what the Trump critics of this move would say is just a wide net. I want to just point out the backdrop here. I'm on Kiowa Island. I wish I could say that I was here to interview President Biden or even Hunter Biden, but I'm here for my mother's birthday weekend, and it just so happens that it's where the president chose to go. So that's the backdrop here at the White House camera.
Bret, thank you. So if you could just stay with us, and we'll keep letting you have a chance to dig through that as well.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.